this was completely unexpected. So no one may jump on. My nose is itching, I'm sorry. This was completely unexpected. But I wanted to come on and chit chat for a minute and share OSCAR's Xmas box that came in today. And maybe discuss some stuff that I think really needs to be discussed. Oh, I have somebody with me. Woohoo! Don't know who it is, but I'm happy. Anyway, look what came today. It was his bark box. Hey Priscilla, I got this. I heard this hit the porch, and I thought, ooh, I'm gonna share this. And look, it is addressed to the dog. So we're gonna go through this, take this apart, and see what all is in this, and see what I need to individually wrap so that he cannot get into it and make a giant mess, because it will have to go into his stocking or be independently wrapped, because he loves to open gifts. I think I have the only dog. Oh look, and it's in a little Rudolph box. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the food out, and I'm going to individually wrap the food and individually put the food in his stocking, because he just likes to tear things open. He just likes to tear things open on Christmas. Oscar loves to open presents. Hi everybody, we've got Priscilla, we've got MH, we've got, is it Amanda or Annette? I'm blonde. Amanda, how are y'all doing? I'm going to eventually get to the craft. I don't know if I'm going to stay on camera that long or not, but I wanted to share some of this with you because my dog is spoiled rotten. I have bribed him into the other room with a snack, so he's over yonder. And what I'm going to do is take my tape that I just had in my hand. There it is. And this came in a little Rudolph box. It's in the big box. I got him the Rudolph bark box for Christmas because my dog is spoiled. But I'm going to take all the treats that are all like sweet potato and pumpkin and salmon, and I'm going to separately wrap them in tissue paper so that he gets to tear it open, because legit, that is all he wants to do at Christmas, is just be able to tear something open. So these came in his bark box. Jiggle jiggle jerky. So cute. I love the names that they give everything, especially during Christmas. Now, he has already been perusing his stocking, and he has already realized that Mama has not put anything in his stocking yet. So he's been looking at me with the, come on Santa, are you going to pull through this year or not? Well, you know, I do treat my dog like a child. And oh, I got a checkup from Kazi's new owners today. We go back and forth and keep up, and when she has issues with his behavior or something, she'll message me and be like, how did you deal with this? How did you cope with this? And I'll tell her, and she's like, oh, that fixed it in 5 minutes. So I still get to video chat with him and see him, and I get to watch him grow. So I'm not like completely out of his life, which is a great comfort to me. And the woman that has him now absolutely needed him. It's almost like I got him when I needed him, and then she got him when she needed him, and he benefited from both immensely. So it's just very sweet to know that it worked. So this is, I love the Bark Box. I don't ever just do the subscription. If I will go on every month and look and see what they have in the box that month, and if it's something I think that he will like because he loves Rudolph, then I will buy the box separately, or stand alone on its own. But I don't ever just buy the subscription, so I'm always perusing the boxes to make sure it's one that I want. Because if I were to go to TSC, to another store, and make sure I got these quality toys that were not going to injure him in any way, I would spend $10 to $15 on each toy, and we got 3 toys, 3 things of treats, and there's some other stuff down at the bottom. And it was $34, I believe. And the treats alone, like this big pack of salmon treats, would probably be $7 or $8. The one I just wrapped would be $8 or $9. The smaller one is like a dental thing, so it would have been $4 or $5. But now these TOYS's would have been super expensive, and I actually love that Santa's head is the squeaker. But he just loves to open things. So my job as his dog mom is just to make sure that he has stuff to rip into, because he loves to open presents. It's his favorite thing. And so as his dog mom, that is what I make sure he can do on Christmas Day, is tear in and open up lots of fun stuff. Watch me put it on backwards. I mean, I know that he can't read that it says ho ho ho, but I can, and the other people that will be here can, so I do want it to go the right way so it can be read. I've got our plumber gnome all plastic wrapped up and packed. So all I've got to do is put him in his box in the morning and send him on his way. I'm sending, if that person that purchased him is out there, I am sending a couple of surprise things for the kids. Because I know you have multiple children and only one gnome is coming, and he's kind of like, you know, a representative of the business. So he's going to be enjoyed by all, but, you know, when kids see a package show up and it's not something that they can, like, participate in, they get bummed. So, I took the opportunity to throw together a couple of things so that they would each have a craft or two to participate in and do, so that when, you know, when this box comes in the mail that obviously you're surprised about, when it comes in the mail, when you open it, they will have something to be surprised about too, because we don't want to bum the kids out at Christmas time. It's very important. We don't want to bum the children out. So I snuck something in there for them. And the lady that bought the plumber gnome, that commissioned the plumber gnome, y'all, she tipped me. And she did not have to do that. And she tipped me quite an amount. And I had told her I was the one who made the tools and made them heavier than they would have been. So I was like, I will absorb the additional shipping, so don't you worry about that. It was my idea to make the tools heavier than they should, than they were going to be. I was like, so the price will not change, and I will absorb the extra shipping cost, because that's, to me, that's the right thing to do. She tipped me, y'all. And she tipped me, you see nothing, you know nothing, you go away. Oscar's snooping. She tipped me, and so since she tipped me, and because she let the cat out of the bag, that she had multiple children, and that they were going to be bummed to get this in and not be able to play with it, I thought, you know something, since she was so kind to me, I am going to turn around and do this for her. So you will not have to worry about the kids being bummed when he arrives, because they will have something in the package for them as well. And that way Armageddon will not occur. I remember having little ones. Heck, mine are 22 and 23, almost 23 and 24. And I still envision Armageddon ensuing over certain things that I get in the mail. I do now have everything in to do the tray craft. So what is going to happen is I need to get all my other craft stuff done so that I have the table clean, so that I can set up my laptop and my printer so that I can print out my photos on the correct type of paper so that I can do the transfer. So I'm going to get all of the crafts done. That was right. So that then I can just do a big cleanup and transition onto the ritzier crafts. Okay, so he now has 3 of these that will be in his stocking to open. Y'all, he has Christmas clothes on the way too. Don't ever tell me that I don't treat Oscar like a child. Because he has Christmas clothes on the way too. So, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use regular wrapping paper on the bigger items. Because while he does enjoy tearing up the tissue paper, honestly his most favorite thing is really ripping open the heavy duty paper. So I'm trying to keep everything kind of shielded from him so he doesn't see it, because he's on the fur blanket on the ottoman because he knows I'm up to something. Smart dog. Well, I've not started the trays yet, so if you want to get the Mod Podge, and if you want to get the Mod Podge, and if you can't find anything else to put on it, you can actually Mod Podge the wrapping, the tissue paper on the tray. So if you can't find anything else that you want to put in there, or you can't get the pictures printed and you just want to make a festive tray for somebody, you can Mod Podge the tissue paper straight onto those trays. Mod Podge it, let it dry, and then do a secondary seal coat, and it will make a very pretty Christmas serving tray, or a Christmas tray. My serving trays that are seasonal basically gets to set on the ottoman to hold all the remotes and the phones and the stuff that I don't want to lose, like in the couch crevices and stuff. So that is what a lot of people will use them for. So they don't have to be perfect things. And, you know, they can, if they just have the Christmas theme and they're sealed good, that Mod Podge is an excellent sealer. Then if they put them up, I just dropped my wrapping paper. If they put them up and take care of them, they'll last them for years and years and years. Now, when I wrap Oscar's presents, I make sure that I leave little areas that his little, because he's got a flat face, he's a smush face, he's got Brussels Griffin in him, he's got Shih Tzu Pug and Brussels Griffin in him. So when I wrap his presents, I make sure that I leave little gaping areas to where I know he can get in there and get hold of the paper so that he can rip it. So I do not wrap this to be pretty. They are securely wrapped to hide the contents and then to give him something to tear apart on Christmas morning. And he also has Christmas pajamas that he wears on Christmas morning. And he knows that he cannot open any of the presents under the tree until it's Christmas morning, and he has on his jammies. Oscar is smart dog. Of course, we've had him his whole life, and we've trained him. And I am thinking about possibly, let me get my paper that I dropped, and let me get my pen that I had. I'm thinking about possibly sending Causey a gift, just because we miss him and we want him to know that we've been thinking of him. See, I had a Sharpie too. Don't you love it when you have everything you need and then you turn your head and it's gone? I tend to do that more than I need to. Definitely more than I want to. But I'll live. I will live. Okay, I'm back. So this is number 1, and I was looking to find something to make a really quick little tag out of, but it's not the most important thing in the world. What I am going to do, because Oscar does know if I jip on his presents, if I jip him, I am going to make a little bow. And y'all sitting there going, that dog doesn't know. Oh, he knows. He knows if his present doesn't have ribbons on it and everybody else does, because we all sit, and he'll sit in like a little semicircle with the kids. This is the way we've done it. And they will all, you know, Dad will hand out the presents and play Santa. And they all sit there and wait for their presents. And they all kind of peruse each other's pile as they're getting their presents. Handmade or not, we still make a big event out of, you know, the handing out of the presents. Let me see if this will curl. I have my doubts. Yeah, it curled. And if Oscar notices that I did not put the same amount of ribbon or decoration, he will look at me and be like, I saw you, woman. I'm on to you. Now I'm going to write Oscar on this ribbon because I'm not going to waste I'm not going to waste a tag. Oh, I think my pen just died. I've been using it all day, and now would be the moment it would die. That's okay. I get another one. I'm going to put this on his little present. And don't worry, we watch him. He's not going to choke on anything. He knows they're not edible. So that's number 1 of his. And literally the dogs will have more presents than anybody. I know Christmas is sneaking up on me. I'm trying, like I've still got a few things coming in the mail that are parts to finish a few projects. But we do, you know, we do homemade Christmas, so it's not a huge big deal. David's is the only one that I bought, and it's because he absolutely needed what I bought him. So, I'm going to use my paint pen and write Oscar. Cheating. So I still have stuff that I'm finishing, and I'm trying to do the bigger craft stuff at the table. Some of the craft stuff is stuff that will take a lot of time, and what I will end up doing is just cutting all my pieces I need and sitting on the couch watching a Christmas movie while I put everything together. Okay. I'm going to wrap this guy in this. He's taking a nap, so he's not paying too much attention now. I got lucky. Okay, so let's talk about this true crime drama. This true crime crama. True crama. Is that what we're calling it? Anyway, so I don't always know what's going on, but because of it has become such a blatant issue, I have kind of had it thrust in my face. Kind of had to get with the program, and I'm just going to hear. I'm just going to say it. I have never seen worse behavior out of adults in my entire life. And I know, I watched some of Scott H. I dozed off, so I don't know how much I actually caught. Some people are uncovering some good stuff that would have been nice to, for people to have known, especially people that got financially hit. It would have been nice for them to have known, quite a while ago. And I have every respect for those poor people that got hoodooed and swindled. But then, it also goes to say, be careful. When people ask for money, be careful and don't just give every Tom, Dick, and Harry money. Now, as you can see, I don't make a big presentation of Oscar's presents. I just want him to know I gave him wrapping paper just like the big kids. Because he doesn't know he's a dog. He has no idea he's a dog. And we are looking for Haley to take him home with her because she will graduate from college this next May. So we are looking for Haley to take him home with her when she moves to Georgia after she gets out of school this last semester. And so we are just trying to, I guess, kind of enjoy what we think may be our last Christmas with him in the house. Now, he will probably still come home with her to visit when she comes home and stuff. But it'll be the last Christmas that we're responsible for him. So, I think that's why me and David have tried to make it special. Plus, he went through a lot this year with my health and then Kazi being in and out of the home. But anyway, back to the true crama crap. I feel for anybody that's lost money. I'm going to miss them a lot. I feel for anybody that's lost money. And this is really cute, this insert. And you can cut that out and put your dog's face there and make a picture. Isn't that cute? What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap all this together just as a big box. But anyway, I feel bad for the people that have got swindled for money and stuff. That's horrible. Nobody should ever be taken advantage of like that, especially financially, especially during times like this. But I have expected the people that were taken advantage of and the people that are trying to now come out and bring facts out and present the whole narrative, I have expected better behavior, and I've been kind of upset because the people that have come out to stand up and say, I got done dirty, nobody should have, should ever be done dirty like this. Then they stand up and they are just as ugly and spiteful as the people that did them dirty. And I'm like, shouldn't you be setting a different example if that hurt you so much? Shouldn't you be trying to portray a different way of handling things? because they're like, oh, they get on there and they act all macho, gangster, and they threaten people, and they're just so rude and like little thugs. And then I watched somebody, you know, they had every right to bring the truth forward because they had been done very dirty. But I watched that person possibly even behave worse. And I was like, now hold up. You got done wrong. It definitely shouldn't have happened. You have every right to be upset. But if your main issue is the behavior in which these adults were acting and how juvenile it was, then you're setting me up to hopefully expect better behavior out of you. I didn't get it. So it kind of was like, it was a lost point. Like, yeah, I know you got done dirty. And yeah, I know you even have like fraud charges you can press, and you can take them to civil court for a lot of stuff, and you've possibly got some defamation going on and stuff. And honey, yeah, cover your butt and take up for yourself. I got no problem with that. Absolutely. But do not go online and then present the same behavior towards someone else that you said hurt you so bad. Because here's the thing, if it was wrong for them to do it, it's wrong for you to do it too. And if you were so unhappy about how they handled something, and it should have been handled as an adult and they handled it as a juvenile, then role model. Show us how an adult should have handled it. Don't get on there and slap your lips and snap your fingers and use the same horrible language and the same horrible digs, and, you know, don't do that. Because these people, absolutely, these people need to have their bell rung, because they shouldn't be doing this stuff to people. But you can't call their behavior wrong and then exhibit it yourself and say, oh, but it's right when I do it. It's okay when I do it. It's not okay when anyone does it. It's tacky when anyone does it. And it shouldn't be done. So I was kind of irritated. I've got to make sure I leave him enough to grab a hold of to start unwrapping, or he won't be able to get into it. And then he'll look at me like, lady, you had one job. So I was a little irritated because, you know, I'm all behind. Yeah, somebody violates your privacy, doxes you, or steals from you. Yes. Take them to court. Ring their bell. Let them know that this is not going to be tolerated. But the manner in which you present yourself, especially if you've been saying that you're just so upset with their juvenile behavior, you bet your sweet bippy, if you've been talking about juvenile behavior, you bet your sweet bippy that people are going to be watching you for juvenile behavior. Mostly because they're just as tired of it as you are. So that is the one thing that I've been irritated with. It's been like, I was done really bad, and tonight I'm going to present evidence to show you all how horribly I was treated and why I'm going to have to go through the court system. And I'm like, okay, I'm with you 110% on this so far. They did you wrong. You're going to take them to court. That's great. You want to share with us and tell us what is a lie and what is not a lie. okay, I'll come back and I'll listen to you. I'll let you clear your name and watch it. I got no problem with that. And then when when I tune in and that calm, please join me while I bake you an apple crumb cake and tell you how they did me wrong has turned into, oh no ma'am, let me tell you something. You don't do this blankety blank to me. Well, hold on, because it was horrible, atrocious behavior when they acted like that toward you. And when you're up there now screaming about them and digging up dirt on them, but you can share factual data without digging up dirt. I don't know if like adults understand that. You can share factual background information without dropping dirt, doxing, or going childish. But I was just really like let down because I thought, okay, we're fixing to turn a corner where the true crime community is going to rectify itself, and they're going to say, enough of the crap. Let's all start behaving a little bit better. Nope, I was wrong. Not gonna happen. So I was really upset because I'm all about, yes, by all means, if somebody's done you dirty and it's a legal issue, take care of yourself, cover your butt. At the same time, if your big pet peeve was that they acted like children, don't act like a child. That's my whole big thing. That's it. Yeah, if they actually did horrible, violating things to you that actually violated the law as well, then you don't have to get up there and put on a show. You just have to get up there and tell the truth and show the facts. And you don't have to put on the show and have the attitude. It's not necessary. It's not necessary, and it doesn't help. And I've got a sprig of hair going out there, don't I? And to be quite honest, me as a 43-year-old, if somebody did me dirty online and tried to portray me in a negative manner, I would probably, like, if they were trying to say I had a criminal background, or I would probably just take pictures of a criminal background search, which is a blank piece of paper for me, because of my jobs and working with children and working in the prison system, I've been fingerprinted at state and federal level and had my name run, and it's just a blank piece of paper because I have no issues. But I would still take pictures of it and just like do a slideshow. But I wouldn't stop and like put on a show and morph into a character that was very unbecoming and adopt a lot of the behaviors that I didn't appreciate from them. I would completely not do that. So I was a little frustrated because I thought I was going to see an adult rectify an issue, and all I saw was another adult come down to a juvenile level, and it really irritated me. Yeah, that's what I have to do. Like, this is the first time I had caught one of those like presentations, and I'm not interested in seeing another one. So anyone that thinks that that is something that's going to gain momentum with your channel or gain you followers, it's not. It really leaves a really bad taste in our mouth, because most of the viewers that are viewing true crime material actually do go there for the material. About 30% get sucked into the personality popularity contest, but there is the silent, like 60% that just want information on the stories that they're watching because they can't find the information anywhere else. And so I think that there are a lot of YouTube viewers like me that do a lot of perusing and never go back to a channel, more than once if they don't have good behavior. See, and this is what somebody said, who are you talking about? Literally, you can pick any true crime creator right now, and they've all exhibited these behaviors. So for me, I'm just talking about the community as a whole. And I've But the presentation I caught either last night or the night before was the female, and I felt so sorry for her because I picked up, she told what had been done to her. And I felt really bad for her because you could tell it was traumatizing. You could tell it had emotionally impacted her. But the moment she went into character, because she wanted to have a gotcha moment, I was done. Because for me, that was basically mirroring the behavior that harmed her. And there was no reason to repeat it. There's just no reason to repeat it. I wish that the true crime community would get back to just talking about the stories. And then if the stories have some stagnant time, and there will be stagnant time, y'all. I'm retired law enforcement. There will be times, months even, where a really intense investigation will go radio silent because either they're working on something or they're just letting some information lay until to test the theory, or they've just had a blip where nothing's come forward and they have to sit and wait. And there's always going to be stagnant moments in investigations. And that doesn't mean that you need to create issues in the story that should be non-issues. Like, just because you're not hearing what TBI is doing behind closed doors or what a sheriff's agency is doing behind closed doors does not mean that there's nothing going on. It just means that it's not for public consumption at this time because it's still an active investigation and it has to be protected. So lots of times, even if you feel there's nothing going on and you're frustrated and angry even because there's nothing going on, there actually is stuff going on. It's just not stuff that is ready for public consumption because it has to be protected. So it's very important for people to understand that as well. Silence does not equate laziness all the time with sheriff's departments and investigative bureaus. Now, do I get frustrated too? Absolutely, I get frustrated too because I want, especially the kids' cases, I want them solved immediately and I want to know what happened and I want to make sure that no other child has to go through this, and we all get emotionally attached, and you have to monitor yourself very carefully when you get attached to those stories. But silence does not mean there's nothing going on. It just means that it may not be ready for public consumption because the investigation does have to be protected. Dusty Blue says, yes, many children cases can go on for months. And it doesn't mean to keep speaking about, yeah, like you can move on and cover another story or like I do, switch to something that's a little bit less emotionally taxing, a little bit more positive, or completely stupid and let us all have a laugh. You don't have to like drill it, and you definitely don't have to like get in your vehicle and go there. I think that's the only person that I will name that I have true confusion about is that MGL. I have true confusion over the motives in some of her live streams and some of her little road trips. I don't understand, because everybody in the comment section is like, you're doing such a great job keeping this going, keeping the investigation alive, and I'm like, she's not keeping anything alive. It's whether she does a road trip or hangs a flyer up or drags other people to small counties to knock on police headquarters doors. It's still going on. All you got to witness is the 10-15 minutes that she took up of their time to remind you it's still going on. It's still going on. Like, she did not show up and they went, well, shucks, I guess we're going to have to break that file back open and solve that after all. No, it's still being investigated. It's still being put together. The puzzle is still being put together. And, you know, there is no great momentum that she created. Now, she has every right to go and drive to these places and protest and legally do all of these things. I just sometimes, like, you'll see a story start to blow up, like, so-and-so's going here to do this great, awesome thing. Everyone wait and pay attention. And I'm like, okay, they're going to do a great and awesome thing. And then 3 weeks later, that great and awesome thing turned into a horrible public display of juvenile behavior. And that ended up with law enforcement being called and, according to my news, WJHL, charges being filed. But then if you go back and you look at the live that was done after all that, her consumer base subs are still telling her she did such a great job. And I'm like, what did she do that was so great? I mean, besides have a public altercation, possibly allegedly trespass. Apparently that's what was filed according to my news agency. That came on the nightly news. That's what they said. And then create a lot of rifts with a few people that like bounced all over YouTube for this. And I'm just sitting here going, I don't believe a lot of subscribers to the true crime world understand the legal system and the justice system and the investigative process and actually the law. I don't think they understand it. So these people, state they're doing these great, magnificent things, and maybe they have the best of intentions and they just backfire. It's all, it's all on the table. I'm just going by what I'm perceiving, and I could be completely wrong. But all I know is it turned into a horrible mess where there was a lot of disrespect. But nobody's talking about the disrespect. They're still saying it was a positive thing. And I'm concerned if we're becoming so deranged in the true crime community that we're seeing a lot of negative things as positive things, and we're rooting for the emotional things rather than rooting for calm things that can be checked off on a list, that can be done, that can, letters that can be sent. You can write people that represent you in your state and other states to discuss the alarming rate at which children go missing. There's a lot of things that you can do that are calm, tangible things that you can show that you've done and check off the list and say, I did something. This is real momentum. This is going to touch hands. People are going to read it, rather than standing on the side of the road and expecting everyone that passes you to know why you're there and what you're. For me, there's like it's just a disconnect. So I just don't know. I've been the last few weeks, I've been really frustrated because then I've seen some really atrocious behavior and some language and it's almost like they're baiting each other into these altercations because the stories have gone stagnant and they have to generate something else to keep the views and subs up. And I'm sitting there going, at the base root of this are people that are missing or people that have been taken out of this world in horrible ways that we don't yet know because they're missing. And there's a real person with a real story, with a real family, with a real ripple effect. And when these loved ones of these people go online to search to see if someone's actually doing like a documentary style informative thing or following the case and helping in any way, they see a whole lot of the bravado and the show, which is super negative. And I wonder if these creators think about that, because they say that, at the root of this is a victim, but sometimes in the behavior that I'm seeing, some of the families and loved ones and people that are emotionally distraught over their loved one missing, sometimes they get like re-victimized from having to deal with a lot of stupidity that should never have occurred. And I'm trying to be really respectful when I'm talking about this, because I don't believe like anyone sets out to truly like completely misuse missing people and children. But somewhere along the line, this true crime community has fallen down a few pegs and turned into something that leaves a really bad taste in my mouth, and is causing a lot of drama. It's causing a lot of people to have to go to court. It's causing a lot of law enforcement involvement. It's causing a lot of just mindless threats to be made over this app, and it's just stupid. It's just if there was a good motivation behind the inclination to cover these things, then it should be terribly difficult to project such negativity. But it's really quite easy, and that concerns me. And I just think, you guys know I try to be as honest as possible with you all, and that's where my mind's been going. That's what I've been thinking. Why is it so negative? Why does it go so negative so easily? Are we putting energy into the wrong creators? Are we supporting the wrong people? Are we not doing our due diligence and our homework when we are picking the people that we want to follow and give our energy to? Do the subs need to do more background research on their own before they dedicate time and energy and support? Do creators need to be more point blank open about themselves and their past and stuff, so that it can't be weaponized at a later date and turned into this whole big mess? I don't know what the right balance is, but I can say that whatever the right recipe to create a better outlet is, I do know that one massive ingredient is respect and good manners, because those are the two things we're lacking greatly right now. So, you know, and I have concerns, and I try to address them respectfully. But when I was in my craft room the other night, and I had done a Summerwell search on my YouTube, on my TV, and it was just playing through everything that came up on the recommended, I will say that was the first night that I, could not get to my remote quick enough to stop the trash that I was hearing. And that was the first night that I had such a violent, just sickening response to what I was seeing put up there by a creator. And it was a male creator. Attaching a 5-year-old's name to it, a 5-year-old missing girl's case to it, and then talking about women and intimate relationships and why men weren't. It was bad. It was bad. I could not get to the remote quick enough to stop it. I was appalled at what I was hearing. And to know that that is attached to that child's name, and that somebody that is just looking for information is going to run across that. And it may be a 12-year-old child doing a current event paragraph for school, and just types that kid's name in because it's a current event and finds that trash. And I think about things like that. And then I think, do these creators not think about things like that? And if they don't, why don't they? Because if they're really truly concerned about children and all that children are going through, should they not also be concerned about a potential dumpster fire that they're creating with their own behavior should a child stumble upon some of their content? I don't know. I just really was just like, whew, yeah, there are better ways. There are better ways to present yourselves, and there are better ways to have disagreements. There are better ways to talk through things. There are better ways to communicate. And I'm just really concerned that, given the internet, a platform that could be used for such positive things, and a handful of what we should call adults in the world, that we come up with crap. You should be able to take these heart-wrenching, emotional stories about these people that have gone through something, and their families that are suffering. You should be able to put something out there that is respectful and informative and possibly even borderline beautiful, to remember this person, for their family to have someone else sees the beauty in my family member that I miss. And 90% of what you see when you look for updates on these cases is just garbage. And I want adults to think more about what you're putting out in the world, what kind of karma you should expect in return, who you may be affecting inadvertently. Just sit down and think about the ripple effect that you're putting out in the world just for 5 minutes, and question yourself. Because I can get on here and plead and beg and point out specifics that can be improved, but I can't make those changes. Only those creators can make those changes, because the only person that I can control is me. And so all I can do is implore them to potentially challenge themselves to be better and to make some changes that might be perceived as more positive by the viewing population, especially if the viewing population is younger. So I'm completely powerless. I just hope that I can portray what I'm hoping will happen in a kind enough way that they will think about it. And thank you. I'm glad you understand, because sometimes I really think there is a huge disconnect between the subs that want the content and the creators. And I don't think the creators sit down and really listen to some of the concerns that the subscribers have. And the subscribers have some very valid concerns. And I don't know. I saw some stuff the last few days that I've just, you know, I kind of stand alone, do my own thing. Because if somebody has a beef with what I say, it comes back to me. So I don't do huge panels and I don't get into huge groups of people, because I am me. What comes out of my mouth, come out of my mouth, and it needs to come back to me to be handled. And it just seems like a more honorable, respectful way to do things. So I don't really get into the drama. And I get left alone for the most part. And I think it's because that they know I don't want to play a game. I don't want to get in the drama. I'm really trying to create a positive change and create a little bit of recognition and accountability. You know, I don't want to have a personal issue with anyone. I just want them to think long and hard about what they're putting out there and who may be seeing it and what it may be causing, who it may be hurting, some of the negatives that it may be creating that they had not really been aware of. Maybe think about that for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put Oscar's presents, I'm going to cram them in his stocking. The first stocking to have a gift in it this year was my daughter-in-law's. And ever since Lane married her, that seems like I always put her gift in her stocking first. So I guess I have a favorite. Didn't know that. But now that it's happened a few years in a row, I'm like, oh, I definitely have a favorite. I need to address that. David was the first person to have a wrapped gift. My parents were the next. The first stocking gift was my daughter-in-law. And then Oscar's completely gotten pimped out this evening. And over the next week, legit, everything will miraculously appear and be wrapped and shoved under the tree. So over the next week, like I'm going to show you the trays. I may do 6 or 7 of these trays, but I may only show you 1 or 2. So that you have the information to know how to do them. But I've got like 6 or 7 to make. So I want to give you enough information so that you can know how to do them and know what you need to go get if you want to do them. But I can't like record everything and expect that I'm going to stay on my timeline. Christmas dinner is normally either a roast. You know those big roasting bags you get? And I would get a big beef roast and potatoes and onions and carrots and celery and cauliflower and broccoli and literally anything I can cram into that bag, and some water and seasonings, and I cook it for like 2.5 hours. And then we might make some mashed potatoes and some rolls to go with it. So it's a really easy meal, but it's a big meal that feeds, you know, a lot of us. and it kind of cooks itself and takes care of itself, and the sides are really quick and super easy, and it's cleanup's really easy too. So that's normally my go-to. Or I will make a pot of chicken and dumplings, and I will totally cheat and use canned biscuits for the dumplings. Don't judge me. um, and on certain years, we've kind of been sick of turkey and ham, so I've actually just roasted a whole chicken and just done like a mock turkey dinner, but with a chicken. But I normally try to stay to the roast or the chicken and dumplings, something that is a one pot or a one pan meal, and that's easily served and easily cleaned up. So that's where we stay. Now, we normally do, one of our things that we normally do is make homemade hot cocoa with like the heavy cream and all that stuff, the homemade. And I will normally make a big pot of hot cocoa, and it will stay on simmer on the stove, and we will have marshmallows and hot cocoa. And Haley will normally make a cookie or two, and we will either play Monopoly or watch Christmas movies, and by the end of the evening, the whole pot, the kettle of hot cocoa is gone, and the cookies are gone, and the marshmallows are gone, and everybody sleeps really good that night because they have really warm, full bellies of hot cocoa, and it always just makes for a really chill, warm, fuzzy Christmas day. So that's kind of what we do. And 99% of our gifts are homemade, they're handmade. And we don't exchange a lot, but what we exchange is made from the heart by somebody's hands, and so we appreciate it. And it's just something that my family, that works really well for us, and that keeps us on the right meaning that we like to amplify during this time of year. Which is, if you've got family, you're never alone. And no matter what's going on in the world, when you come home and shut that door and you're with your family, you can get in that bubble and be happy and make good memories. And that's kind of what we do. So this year is like the year of the dogs, because we lost Moses last year, and Lane adopted Chaytak, which is the 70-something pound puppy. And so this is going to be Chaytak's first Christmas with us. And he's my Choco Chay, because he's so fat and he's so big. He comes to Mimi's and visits all the time. And since I've been having vertigo issues, he's so big, but he's been so careful with me and so sweet. But his favorite thing to do is when they're here, he wants Lane to lay back on the couch and prop his feet up, because he wants to then lay on his back in Lane's lap like a recliner. It cracks me up, because it's like a 75-pound dog that's just crushing my child. And it's just hilarious. I got Che a bandana with his name on it, and then I got him a bandana that says "Bad Mother Fluffer." Because he looks like he's a big mean dog, but he's not. And then I want to get a little vest made, because when Lane is up a tree and he's gaffing and is up a tree, Che is kind of used to spot to let people know, my person's up the tree, what do you need? You're coming over here, but my person's up the tree, what do you need? And so he's a very well-trained little dog, and I want to get a little vest made that says, I belong to the leprechaun up the tree, please be careful. Because they need to be aware, even though my son ropes everything and lowers it down, people on the ground that show up, in these big wooded areas where they're taking down a problem tree, they don't always exercise the best caution. And so Che is there to let them know, my person's up this tree, what do you need, back away. And I want his little vest that says, I belong to the leprechaun up the tree, because my son has ginger red hair. And then I got my grand dog, Nala, in Georgia. I got her a couple of bandanas as well. I've got her some, like, Himalayan treats on the way. I've ordered more Himalayan treats this year than apparently it's just been something I thought they needed. And then I've got a giraffe tug-of-war toy coming for her, because she is a retriever, so she's very mouthy. So I get her things that she can destroy. And, of course, you all have seen Oscar. And Oscar has clothes. He still has clothes on the way, Christmas sweaters on the way, and a couple more things. Oscar is the spoiled rotten child, and he will have more presents than anyone here on Christmas morning. That's just how it's always been since we've had Oscar, and he is now 8. He'll be 9 next year. He's rotten. He will have a pile of toys bigger than my own children's. Um, so it's just funny to watch. And as old as my children get, even with their significant others, or my son now has a wife in tow, they still sit in their little semicircle so we can hand out the presents. So I don't care, as old as they get, they still turn into children that just want their presents. They want their pile of presents. And I always get tickled at their responses when we do the homemade Christmases, because I'm always profoundly proud of my children and the way that they respond when somebody has taken time to make them something. I raised really good young adults, and I'm just always just impacted about how gracious they are when they receive something, and like, you will see it, like they will display it with pride in their home, and you will see that item for years to come. And on my tree I have these red, I call them cranberry beads. These belong to my grandmother, and I think they actually belonged to my great grandmother before they went to her, but I can't get that verified. But I believe they belonged to my great great grandmother Dickens originally. And these have always been passed down to the women in the family. My daughter, for the last 6 years, is constantly reminding me, those are mine, right? Those are left to me, right? Those are mine, right? And I'm like, yes, they're yours, but you're not getting them until you're stable in a home where I know that they will be stored and maintained, because these suckers are over 100 years old. And I'm going to restring them when I give them to her so that they have a fresh start. But my daughter wants these cranberry beads, and she just wants them because of the memories attached to them, because they've been with our family so long. It's like when my grandmother passed away, the same grandmother that gave me these cranberry beads. All my aunts and uncles, when they were cleaning out the house and stuff, they said, Elizabeth, what do you want? And she was like big into home interior and quilting, and I said, I want her dish rags. And they were like, you want her dish rags? I said, I want her dish rags. And they thought I was crazy, but I still have the dish rags, and my husband knows never to touch those dish rags. I use them. They stay in a separate drawer, and when I use my grandmother's dish rags, I think about her. And that's why I wanted her dish rags, because I think about her a few times a week when I pull out one of her dish rags and use them. Now, lo and behold, in the will, she also left me all of her home interior roosters and stuff, so that's why my kitchen kind of looks like it vomited up roosters when you get a different angle view. So she left me a lot of her roosters and home interior kitchen items. And I have huge big country swag ruffled like $300 curtains in my living room that I bought from a woman secondhand for like $70. And I bought them specifically because they were the same as the ones that my grandmother had in her dining room for the majority of my teenage years. And I have them in my living room. And I'll have you know, like the day after I hung them up, my mother came by to look at them, and she's like, dibs, when you get tired of them, dibs. But she's like, they're beautiful. And she's like, they remind me of your grandmother's. And I said, that's why I bought them. So we're having a tradition apparently in this house. I still have the mirror. My grandfather left me his shiffer robe, and it had seen better days, bless its heart. And it finally just got too old to keep patching up. But I kept the door, which was a complete encased mirror. And I kept the door, and we've propped it in the corner and put ivy vines on it and stuff. And I will always have that shiffer robe door with a mirror in it, because it reminds me of my grandfather. I guess we're just heavy in tradition around here. We are very simple people. And I think that's why we gel so easily with holidays and stuff. Our expectation is that we're good to each other. It's not that we're going to spend money on each other. So, and when I get my family together and I see them respond with real love toward each other, I'm, always very proud. My kids, I've never seen my kids have a crossword. They're only 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day apart. So a lot of people think they're twins. Lane started out as a twin, and then I lost one, so everybody has the background there. But my kids are really close, and it's funny because Lane was a twin. Well, he ended up marrying a twin, so I bet you I have twin grandbabies at some point. But my kids are super close and simple and beloved. Yeah, that's it. My kids are super close, so they're fixing to be 23 and 24, fixing to rotate over next spring and summer. And when they see each other, they run straight to each other and big old hug and pick on each other. And and if Haley is in visiting, half of her time is spent with her brother and his wife. They're super close, and now we've got Haley's fiance in tow, and he's just always fit into the family like he belongs here. So it's just like he's always been here. But we gel really easily. We just really enjoy each other's company. We don't have a whole lot. But I've never thought that things make you happy. It's the people that you surround yourself with, and how how those people make you feel. So yeah, we just have a really simple home. And I would implore more people to try that, because honestly, the simpler lifestyle, the easier. Like, oh, we got the ambulance bill the other day. Anybody that's been waiting for the kidney stone ambulance bill, because we're rural, we have no hospital. They had to shut our hospital down because the guy that bought it was embezzling the money and stealing, and then he got it in debt, and they had to shut the hospital down, and he's on the run. I'm irritated because now it's over an hour and a half to any hospital. So if you have a trauma issue, we only have one fast-paced place that can slap a Band-Aid on you. The doctor stay booked 2 or 3 days in advance at least. So when my husband had a kidney stone emergency, he couldn't go to the fast-paced place. They said literally all we can do is give him a Band-Aid and say good luck. And I was having vertigo, so I could not drive him anywhere. I was trying to find somebody to drive him. His pain was getting out of control, and his blood pressure was, I thought he was going to stroke out. I finally broke down, called the ambulance, because the only two ways to get him to any of the nearest hospitals, which were well over an hour away, was via Aerovac or ambulance. So I called the ambulance. By the time the ambulance got here, they said, yes, you made the right decision, because his blood pressure was it was bad. Lucky my husband's still here. So they got his blood pressure and everything under control and took him down under the mountain to the second closest hospital, because the other one was had a 6-hour wait. Another issue. I think that they bleed people in rural areas like this, because we have so little aid. We have no trauma places, no ER, our only triage is in an ambulance or in a helicopter. It takes us over an hour to get anywhere. We were pushed in where we had to call the ambulance to get him to the place and to get his blood pressure and his pain level under control. And I got the bill the other day. Now, our insurance has not paid yet. I just got the original bill. Now I've got to do enact the phone tree and make sure everybody's billed correctly so that I get the right bill at the end. Over $800. And I'm sitting here going, primarily, if you live in the city, you're 15 minutes from a hospital. You can take the bus, you can take a cab. They can get you there easily most of the time. But if you live in Appalachia or BFE, you run into these problems. And you're normally very poor. There's not a lot of industry here. Most people are under the poverty line. We pay hundreds every month for our insurance and then turn around and get an $800 bill. And it's like they almost take advantage of the people that live in these outlying areas that are poor, that don't have a lot of aid. And it's like they just bleed you. They just nickel and dime you to death. And so I know everybody was worried when I had to call the ER, because my husband was profoundly worried about the bill he was going to generate. The man was literally about to have a stroke from pain and blood pressure. And he was worried about the bill he was going to generate. I was like, don't worry, just get to the hospital. I will figure out a way for somebody to pick you up, because I was having the vertigo issues again. Lane was out of the county due to work. My other child's way away in college. My parents care for my mother's mother. They have her in home care. So there's not a lot of options. And just luckily, my dad was able to get away and go grab him when they discharged him. And just luckily, as soon as he got down the mountain, another hour of suffering with a kidney stone, they put a pressure bag on his IV and really forced the fluid, which the kidney stone was embedded in the tube from his kidney to his bladder on the left side, because that tube is smaller. That's why we've had some kidney stone issues with him in the past. and it was not going to move anywhere on its own. But when they forced the pressure and the water and the fluids through, it popped within, like, he had been there for 30 minutes at the ER, and it popped to his bladder, and the pain immediately stopped. And so they did another CT and said, yes, it's in your bladder now. It should be passed with no problems now. We're going to let you go home. And luckily, we got to bring him home that night, so we didn't have a hospital bill. We haven't got the ER bill yet, but we didn't have a hospital stay. But the ambulance bill was over $800. And you just have to laugh about things like that, because I'll just have to pay it 10, 20, 30 bucks at a time as I have money. But you just have to look at the big picture, and it's like, how can you take advantage of this demographic, knowing that we have harder lives than most? Oh my gosh, they closed your downtown hospital and turned it into an apartment complex. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it limits your options and the kind of care you can receive, especially in emergency scenarios. It stinks. And I have raised a ruckus about it, because I used to do medical transcription and nuclear med transcription. And so I understood more than most the services that were being lost for the people that depended on them here, especially people that have nothing, that have, like, the only insurance they have is like the Medicaid option, and so if they try to go elsewhere, they end up being out of network somewhere, and they don't know it because they don't understand, and they don't think that they should have to check that, but they also don't realize they're traveling over an hour to 2 hours away, sometimes 3, to get care because they don't have local care. And so I always try to kind of champion that cause and keep up on what's going on. And right now, that little man that embezzled and extorted and stole from this hospital before he had it shut down, he is on the run. He was in some island grouping somewhere. He was on the run. They had recovered some of the money from, like, an account in Scotland or Ireland or something like that, and he was on the run, and they did have a warrant. They had, like, 2 warrants, one for something and one for tax purposes. And they cannot do anything with the hospital until that case is resolved. But just luckily, UT is looking at bringing some of their med students in to run like a 9 to 13 bay ER type clinic, so that we do have somewhere to go that is more like an ER that can do baseline testing and CTs and stuff like that. Because right now all we have is a fast pace, which you can go in and get like cold medicine or an antibiotic. That's about it. Basically, that's all they can do. So, yeah. Ambulance bill. Now, I have to say the ambulance staff was impeccable. They were great. They were immediately on the blood pressure issue because of the amount of pain he was in. They immediately were correcting that because they were really afraid he was going to stroke out. So they were great, and I will pay it. Slowly and as I can, but I will pay it. But I just thought y'all might want to know how much that ended up being. And I still don't know how much I'm going to have to pay after it filters through everywhere. Because the type of insurance he has at work, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield, but then he has a specific type of account that sets money aside. So we will have some money set aside that we've not used that he can pull and pay some of the bill with. So that's a blessing. But I don't know how much our portion is going to be yet, because they disperse bills to everybody on day 1. Hoping that I would pay, because if I paid before my insurance paid, it would make me responsible for the entire bill. But I'm smart. I'm not going to do that. And if you ever get a medical bill and you have insurance and they send you the full bill, call your insurance and see if they billed your insurance and if your insurance is paid. If they've not, you do not pay anything on that bill until your insurance pays their portion. Because what that hospital or agency wants you to do is to pay before your insurance, because then they can set your insurance aside and make you responsible for the entire bill, and they can get more money that way. It's almost illegal. It's fudging a lot of the laws. I'm smart on it, so I catch them when they try to do it. But as soon as everybody pays their portion and I get the final amount, I will let y'all know what the final amount we have to pay is. I just thought that was just an amazingly expensive ride, but I'm glad that we had that option, because without our ambulance to perform like a triage for our area people, we would literally have nothing. We would have no means to provide care for people in a really bad position. So I'm going to have to pay the bill, but I'm also going to say that I really am thankful that I at least did have the ability to incur that bill, because it meant I could help my husband. Just crappy that. And I looked at my husband and I said I just had gotten, like, I was on the last medical bill from all my mastoiditis and stuff. I was like on the last $200. And I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I was fixing to have everything caught up. And then boom. But when, you get to be my age and, you live in Podunk, you just get used to staying that close to devastation and destruction. When you get an $800 bill, you just gotta laugh about it. Just gotta laugh about it. We'll get paid one way or the other. That's just one of those. I don't like having bills, but you can't get blood from retardant, so I will pay it as I can. But yeah, it's amazing. Hey, I love Southern Hell. I love your name. We've been chewing the fat. I went through Oscar's presents and wrapped them and got them situated. I was going to start another gnome, but I'm just kind of over it tonight. I think I'm just going to go and let Oscar go outside a final time and let him have a snack, and then I'm just going to go to bed because my husband should be home here very soon. And I'm going to try to get all my craft. I've got like a pile of like craft stuff on my kitchen table. I'm going to try to get the crafty stuff out of the way and wrapped. And then I'm going to do my trays. Now, I have 6 or 7 of the trays to do where I'm doing the photo transfers, but I'm only going to probably show you a couple, too. And that's just because it takes so much more time for me to film and do lives, and it doesn't allow me to work if I have an issue and I'm going to be working in a media that's on the clock, so I need to be able to run, grab, and do. So I will try to have everything prepped to show you a couple of the smaller ones to show you the process in case you want to do it, because it's a very affordable, wonderful little gift. But I'm not going to show you all of them. I may show you pictures when I get them all done and they've been opened and stuff, but I'm not going to take you through everything I make. And then I've got a couple of other ideas that if I get everything done and I have a day or two before Christmas to finish, I'm going to finish a couple of things. Oh, and I can tell you all, I did buy David some gifts this year because it's very hard to make anything for him. We do make him stuff, but I got him one of those jackets that you can plug up and it will charge a battery and then it will heat. So when he goes and checks his trap line on very, very cold days, he can put that underneath and keep his torso warm. But I also found online, in an online bookshop, I found a very old book that this little old man that lived in like British Columbia or somewhere up there. He lived in the woods and lived by fur trapping and sustenance trapping and hunting. And he wrote a 300-page book about his last 50 years as a fur trapper in the wilds. And it's got like tips, tricks, and then just stories from his life. And I read as much of the excerpt as I could, and it was just a lot of information, just a really neat, like you could reach out and feel like you understand the life he lives, because we kind of live a kind of lifestyle like that. And my husband, who certainly does not look like an avid reader, will sit down and read anything that has to do with trapping, fur trapping, anything like that. And I bought him this 318-page book, and I guarantee you that he has it read by Valentine's Day. And he will absolutely consume it when he's actually home and sitting still. So I'm excited to get his response, because I never, in all of our 19 years of Bears, would have thought that I would have bought this man a book. But now I'm so excited for it to come in, because it's an old book written by an old man from a different era and a different lifestyle, and I'm just so excited for my husband to read it and see how he is so similar to someone that did the same thing and still does the tanning, the hide tanning in the same way and stuff, and I'm just really excited. So, really excited about that. He's not going to watch this, so I can totally tell y'all that. Oh, well, you're crafting at the last minute too. Good luck. Those last minute crafts they're fun, but boy, they're stressful. Dusty, honey, you make me sound like I'm angelic, and I'm not. But I appreciate that you can make me sound angelic. I'm feeling better, so I'm picking up pace and I'm doing more, so things are getting done. So I really appreciate you spending time with Susan and wrapping Oscar's presents and just chit-chatting and talking about some stuff that I just needed to kind of brain vomit. We'll do some more stuff over the next couple of days. I probably will do a couple of pre-made videos to upload for some of the things that I make, so that I can get all this stuff made and put away, so I can start with the printing of the pictures and the trays. But I appreciate you spending time with me, and my house is slowly coming back together. Things are slowly starting to get, you can tell I'm feeling better, and the house is not overwhelming me anymore, and I'm getting there. And I've got to try to get everything done before my daughter comes back in to visit. So I'm on a timeline, and I'm on a crunch, but it's okay. But so tomorrow, the next day, probably a pre-made video, and then hopefully the next time I do a live, it's going to be to show you how to do one of the photo transfer trays. So we'll try to do that the beginning of next week. That's the timeline, barring a massive health issue, that's the timeline I'm kind of working on. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to try to go and visit my granny as soon as I can get down the mountain too. She's been doing good, but her heart rate's been up, and we can tell that the winter is a little bit more stressful on her than it has been in previous years, and of course she's getting very old, and so I want to go visit her, and I've got a couple of healthcare items that I was able to get at good prices, and I've like stockpile a bunch of stuff to take down there, and then I've got Mom and Dad's Christmas box that I want to take down there. So I may share a little bit of that. My mother called the beautician into the home to do Granny's hair, and she got her hair done today as well. And it's the prettiest color. It's like a mauve, a silver mauve. Prettiest color. I'm in love with it. I would have to bleach my hair to replicate it. It's beautiful. And she's almost got it styled like she did when she was a teenager, and it comes over and swoops over. My mother is still one of those that she doesn't look her age, and she's still super gorgeous, and I look like my Irish potato famine father. It's not fair. I got none of the Cherokee complexion, nothing. I got the high cheekbones and the eyes, and that was it. Otherwise, I look like I am farming potatoes in the hot sun. But I'm going to try to do like a little video with Mom and Granny in it, just because I want to remember these days, because I know Granny's getting down to the last of it. Dusty, you too. Have fun crafting. I'm going to go and let my dog out and I'm going to make my last sweep through the house, because getting my wood floors back up to 0 dust bunny level is almost impossible when you were sick as I was for so many days. And I'll probably be quiet the next couple of days with only uploaded videos, but should something occur, I will pop on, and then brace for the trays the beginning of next week. Oh, and our plumber gnome gets mailed out tomorrow morning. And bless her heart, she tips me big time, so I stuck some crafts in for the kids. So when they open the box, they don't just have something they can't play with, they actually have something they can do. So that was a huge blessing. I really appreciated that. So it's been, this has been a great week. I'm feeling better, doing better, and the lady that bought the plumber gnome that one of the plumber gnome made, she was just super gracious, and it's been a good week. Even though I got an $800 ambulance bill, it's been a really good week. I don't have the photo transfer video on her yet, but all it is an inkjet printer. So I just hook my laptop up and I make sure that I print my photos on just regular computer paper, just regular printer paper, and then I use Mod Podge and the unsealed serving trays that they have at Walmart, or you can buy them on Amazon. Amazon's cheaper, but Walmart's right there, so you have to get it wherever. Super simple. It's like an overnight to a 2-day process, but just because of the drying. Super simple, and you can have a really elegant serving tray for somebody that's going to have a lot of memories for about $7-8 bucks. At least, under 10 if you get a pretty decent sized tray. So expect that next week, and I will try to do a community post to prep for items that you need in case you want to go get the items you need, so that after you watch me do it, you can do one yourself. Regular printer paper, just regular computer paper like you would use in the office. That's it. Yep. So really the most expensive thing that I had to buy was the stupid cartridge, but I only bought black because I'm huge into black and white and like sepia tones. I don't like color. I'm doing all of my photo transfers in black and white, so it would just be the black on the wood, but you can do color. Super easy. Literally, like an 8 to 10-year-old could do this easily. So I'll do a community post about what you need in case you want to get the items that you need, so that when I do it, you can immediately do one and rewatch the video and do it again. But look for that somewhere between Sunday night and Tuesday morning. That's the timeline I'm working on right now. And you can also put them on it's got to be a sanded, surface, but it has to be raw. It can't be sealed or stained or anything. So anything basically in the unfinished wood section at Walmart, you can transfer a photo to. So you just get your laptop and printer, and you load your paper and you print. Make sure you've got an inkjet printer, and you print that picture out. And you need Mod Podge, the picture you printed out, and the unfinished tray. And it's super simple. So we'll cover that next week. And if you don't have a photo you want to put on, then you can decoupage anything on. And there's going to be a couple of really small trays that are too small for pictures. Then I'm just going to take the really pretty tissue paper that I got to put in my gifts. I'm going to set a couple of sheets of that aside, and I'm just going to directly decoupage the tissue paper into the serving tray square, and then I'm going to do like 2 coats to seal it, and it's going to be just a holiday themed serving tray. Super easy, super simple. People love these little gifts, and those little serving trays, I use them everywhere. I use them in the kitchen. I use them on the back of the toilet in the bathroom for like cotton swabs and a candle and stuff like that. When you want to make your bathroom not look so crappy. I use it on my ottoman to hold my remotes and things that I don't want to lose in the couch. So you can make them any theme you want, any photo that you want to transfer, or anything you want to decoupage. I'm thinking about making a cow themed one for my daughter-in-law because she's a cow freak. Super easy, super simple, and pretty inexpensive for the end product. If you go get Mod Podge, get the yellow or the blue, the dishwasher safe. Those are the two that work. Anyone will work, but those are the two that I think work the best for photo transfer, for picture transfer. Is the yellow, which I think is the matte, or the blue that says dishwasher safe on the top. Those two peel the best for the photo transfers. So that's the only kind of that I would stress about the Mod Podge. But literally any kind of Mod Podge will work. If you want to make it last even longer, then you can get some polyurethane or spray sealer to go over it after the Mod Podge and everything is dried, and it'll seal it a little bit more. But really the Mod Podge does enough. You don't have to do that. That's overkill. I am OCD. Okay, I've got to get my dog out to Pop Pot. and I have got to sweep before David comes in. And thank you for your time and letting me brain vomit, and the next video will be pre-uploaded, so no lives, no chit chatter. It will be actually something that 5 to 15 minutes that will not take your whole evening. So everybody, have a wonderful night. Get ready to have a great weekend, and I'll upload something as soon as I get the next item done. Mama Liz out.